Have you ever tried to say you miss someone in Spanish and just totally blanked? Yeah, you're not alone, trust me. It's one of those classic bumps in the road for Spanish learners. You've got this one simple word in English, but in Spanish, it just explodes into a bunch of different verbs, and each one has a very specific job to do. Okay, so let's break it down. On one side, you've got our easy, straightforward English word, miss. Simple. But then you look at Spanish, and it's a whole different ballgame. It's like you've got a whole team of verbs ready to go. So the big question is, how in the world do you know which one to use? Well, that is exactly what we're about to figure out. First things first, let's talk about the emotional stuff. You know, the miss that we're all familiar with. That feeling you get in your heart when you're longing for a person, or maybe a place you used to live, or even just a good memory. Your number one go-to verb, especially if you're in Latin America, is extrañar. It's the most common, most direct way to say you're emotionally missing someone. It's simple, it's straight to the point. Extraño a mi familia. I miss my family. You can't go wrong with that. But let's say you hop on a plane and cross the Atlantic over to Spain. You're going to hear something totally different. Over there, they mostly use the phrase echar de menos. Now, it means the exact same thing as extrañar, but it's just the local favorite. Te echo de menos. I miss you. So, okay, we have this general rule of thumb. Extrañar for Latin America, echar de menos for Spain. But is that just a handy little trick that language learners pass around? Or is there some real hard data that actually backs this up? And boom, here is the proof. This map isn't just a drawing. It's built from cold, hard data. Linguists went through millions of geolocated tweets, and the result is, well, it's just incredible. All that red you see just blanketing the Americas, that's extrañar. And the blue, all clustered up almost entirely over Spain, that's echar de menos. This isn't just some vague guideline. It's a linguistic border you can literally see on a map. All right, so we've totally covered missing someone with your heart. But what about when you miss something, literally, like you miss the bus or you miss a shot in a soccer game? Well, for these practical, everyday situations, Spanish brings out a completely different set of tools. And as you can see, Spanish gets incredibly specific here. If you're running late and you don't catch your train, you use perder. But if you miss out on something fun, like a concert, you need to use the reflexive form, perderse. Trying to hit a target, like taking a penalty kick, that's fallar. And if you just decide not to go to class, the verb for that is faltar. Every single scenario gets its own custom-fit word. It's pretty amazing. Okay, you ready? Now we're diving into the real brain twister of the bunch. There's one more way to say you miss someone, but to use it, you have to basically flip your English grammar completely upside down. Get ready for hacer falta. Someone on Reddit, a user named Izen, just hit the nail on the head with this. They offered a brilliant way to make it all click. Instead of thinking, I miss you, try to reframe it in your head as you are missing from me. The idea is that the person is causing a lack or an absence in you. It's the same feeling, just looked at from a totally different perspective. And here's where your brain has to do that little flip. In English, it's simple. I am the subject, I'm doing the action of missing. But in the Spanish phrase, tú me haces falta, the person you miss, tú, is actually the subject of the sentence. They are the ones causing the feeling, and the person who feels the emotion, me, becomes the object. If you've ever wrestled with the verb gustar, for saying you like something, this works in a very, very similar way. So let's zoom back out for a second. That incredible Twitter study we saw a minute ago, well, it didn't just map out one or two phrases. The data pointed to something way, way bigger, a fundamental pattern that's woven right into the fabric of the entire Spanish-speaking world. I mean, the scale of this research is just mind-blowing. The researchers took a massive pile of data, 106 million Spanish tweets, all with location data attached, to build a linguistic map of our modern world. It's huge. And what they found was, well, it was fascinating. When they crunched all the numbers on word choices, the data didn't split up neatly by country. Nope. Instead, it showed two enormous global varieties of Spanish, two super dialects that stretch right across borders. The researchers just called them alpha and beta. So what's the difference between them? Well, think of cluster alpha, the red one, as kind of like a globalized Spanish. It's the common dialect you're likely to hear in big cities, influenced by international media and business. But cluster beta, in blue, is the opposite. It's this beautiful mosaic of countless local flavors, representing all the rich regional dialects you'd find in more rural communities. So we started with a simple vocabulary question, and it's led us all the way to these huge global linguistic patterns. That's pretty cool. But what does it all really mean for you as someone learning Spanish? And here's the thing, this isn't about speaking correct or incorrect Spanish. If you say extrañar in Spain, people will understand you perfectly fine. It's just not what's typical there. These differences are living, breathing proof of how history and culture and geography all come together to shape a language. When you start to get that, you're not just memorizing words anymore, you're learning the story of the world. And that, right there, is the absolute magic of learning a language. We started this whole journey with one little word, miss, and it unfolded into this giant global map of human connection and history. So, if just one word can hide an entire world inside of it, just imagine what you're going to discover next.